I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy, you can if you tell. Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. It is time for another brand new episode, and this is another one in the Conversations with an Atheist series. I really enjoyed this conversation. Calvin was just so much fun to talk to, and I really want to have him back on the show. I think it was great to explore the topics that we explored, but doing it from two different lenses. I really enjoyed it. And I hope that this conversation can serve as a template for anyone listening to show you that you can have conversations with someone you disagree with. And hopefully you can find common ground. So I hope you guys enjoy my conversation with an atheist. And with all that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram with the Past Life Regressionist, or you can go ahead and book through my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And now it's time to begin. Calvin, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm a little hot. It's a little hot here in Southeast Michigan, but doing well. Doing well. How are you?
I'm hot. Has nothing to do with temperature. No, yeah. I mean, in all fairness, I'm in Southern California. It's not too bad here right now. It's a nice day. It's not humid, which is nice.
Yeah, that's nice. It is super humid. It's like sticky. I don't have air conditioning in my office, so it's like in here. But luckily, the ceiling fan's helping out.
Probably the devil on your shoulder doesn't help either.
Yeah. You know, Satan and everything.
Okay, so as much as I love talking about the weather on a spiritual podcast, are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm down.
Who is Calvin?
Who is Calvin? Well, not to be confused with Calvin Smith of Answers in Genesis. Funny enough, there's actually Calvin Smith with the, same exact first and last name as me, and he's on the opposite spectrum of me, which I'll get into. But anyways, yeah, I'm Unquestionable Calvin. I go by Unquestionable Calvin on social media, and I can delve a little bit deeper into like where that name kind of comes from. But yeah, I mean, I'm an atheist content creator. I talk to people about what they believe, why they believe it. I do call-in shows. I volunteer for secular nonprofits around America, like Michigan Atheists, the Secular Alliance of Michigan, Atheist Community of Austin. I've done a couple call-in shows with. I have approximately 250,000 followers across social media where I deconstruct more specifically Christian belief systems and Christian ideologies and history, and specifically things that the Bible says, condones, and kind of break those down a little bit into short form content where I'm typically posting on TikTok. And yeah, I mean, I mostly talk about the Bible. I grew up Christian, and the Bible is kind of what led me out of believing the Bible. After I started reading it, I realized how unbelievable it was. It just kind of eventually led into me not being able to shut my mouth about it. And so now I'm a content creator because a lot of people like to hear me talk about it. So that's kind of what I do now.
What do you believe in?
That is a very broad question. I don't even know if I could really answer it good for you. Because when someone asks me like, what do I believe in? It's like, okay, well, what are we talking about? Do I believe that my wife loves me? Yeah. Do I believe that this pen is black? Yeah. Do I believe in an invisible magic man in the sky? No, that's not something I believe in.
So what do you believe in?
I guess if we're talking in religion, I lack a belief. So it's not that I have a belief that there is no God. It's just, I don't believe you, prove it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I always love that question because I always tell people, you can say you believe in string cheese, just like you kind of said. Like I believe this pen is black. Right. Like I didn't say like, what do you believe in religious? That's just, what do you believe in? right? It's like the free
Yeah.
reign.
Right. Yeah. It's such a broad question. It makes it real, which I did get that question a lot actually. So it's actually good that like we kind of talked about that a little bit, because that's like a very frequent question that I get is just, what do you believe? And it's always like, what are you talking about? Like what, I just genuinely don't know how to answer. You got to be a little bit more specific, but yeah, it's a good point to bring up.
To you, what is the difference between believing and knowing?
I believe it comes down to being convinced. So just like how I say, I'm an agnostic atheist. So I do not believe that there is a God, but I do not know that there is a God. So agnostic coming from knowledge, and atheist being from, theism. So I do not know that there is a God. So I would be an agnostic atheist. So it's a matter of being convinced for me. I just haven't seen that evidence to warrant me being convinced of a God, whether it's Christianity or Hinduism, the Quran. I've looked at all these different texts with an open mind, hoping genuinely that I would be convinced of this by the end of it. Because a lot of people say all you got to do is just read the book, and the answers are all in there. Never happened for me. It in fact went the opposite direction for me. But yeah, belief would be being convinced for me, and I'm just not.
I have to say, that's one of the things I respect about you, is that you actually do the research in that respect, that you're not just going to completely discard it. You're like, yeah, let me look into it. Let me see. Maybe I'll be convinced. Maybe I won't. But at the very least, I'm going to look. And so I respect that. And I hope you get the kudos you deserve for that one, because that in and of itself, I think is something the world needs more of.
Yeah, I agree. How can I say that, Islam is bullshit if I don't know what Islam says? I mean, I can't say I don't believe that until I look into it. So, I mean, and I looked into it, and I don't believe it, and so that I consider myself kind of an ex-conspiracy theorist, because I was very heavily into things like, Bigfoot being an interdimensional time traveler, and reptilian overlords from the Draco constellation were running the government. And it wasn't until like on the surface level I was believing these things, and it wasn't until I really started to reevaluate my religious beliefs that I started looking into the conspiracy theories. Like, if I'm evaluating my religious belief this much, why aren't I evaluating these other things? How can I say that these are true if I haven't actually looked into it? It turned out I was just believing in these things because they sounded cool, or because I wanted it to be true, but not because I was actually convinced of it.
So what counts as evidence for you?
Another good broad question, to be honest. So what I take as evidence is whatever someone says it is. So like typically when I do my call-in shows, right? Because I do call-in shows where people can call in and, we talk about whatever. Usually I ask them to don't give me a piece of evidence. Give me what you think is the most convincing piece of evidence for your, XYZ belief. Whatever you think that evidence is I'll entertain it. Who am I to say? Maybe it is some piece of evidence. Even if you come at me saying evidence of God is this mouse. Okay, let's talk about how is this mouse. I'll take that you think that this is evidence of God, right? So now let's build on that and say, how did you get to believe that this mouse is evidence of God? So whatever someone says evidence is, I'm going to believe them. Whether it's convincing or not is different.
Okay. All right. So it's the eye of the beholder.
Right.
Is there anything that you believe that you can't prove?
Ooh, yeah, I'm sure there is. And let's see, what's something that I believe that I can't prove? We could go the hard solipsism route and say I believe that I'm not a brain in a vat, but I can't prove it.
Can you expand upon that one?
Yeah. So I mean, if I'm a brain in a vat, how would I prove that? How would I prove that if like my whole life experiences, everything, like let's say I'm a brain in a vat, right? And in some other dimension, there's some little green alien guys that are, controlling my whole life like a video game, right? I'm just a simulation, right? There's no way, if the aliens or whatever is controlling my brain in this vat, how am I going to differentiate from that if they're the ones in control, right? It's almost like if technically if the God of the Bible was true, we would kind of almost be that brain in the vat, where, I mean, because Although the Bible espouses, free will, everyone has free will, X, Y, Z, that's not something that's the case in the Bible. There's many cases of God impeding on that free will and kind of, I guess you could say, tweaking that brain in the vat. So it's like, do we really have free will? Or, if God is all knowing, or these aliens are all knowing, for example, how can we differentiate from that plan? Are we able to differentiate from that plan? Am I able to prove that, right? If that's part of God's plan or the aliens' plan, I can't. There's just no way for me to prove it. I mean, can the Sims character in your video game prove, that he's a video game character? It's kind of a slippery question. So, I mean, I would say that, yeah. I mean, the one thing that I can think of in this moment is that, I can't prove that I'm not just a brain floating in a vat with little green aliens controlling my every move and everything that I say, but I believe that I am not.
So does that suggest that you don't believe that consciousness is created in the brain?
Not necessarily. I do think that consciousness is a product of the brain. I think that consciousness wouldn't exist if there wasn't a brain to communicate that consciousness.
Do you believe it originated in the brain?
Consciousness? Don't know if I could say for sure. I don't know if I really have a solid answer on that. Probably not smart enough.
I think it's an honest answer. I mean, I love that answer. That's great. You're an interesting character. I'll put it that way.
Good. I like to keep it interesting.
For all those who can't see, Calvin just did a little, I don't even know what dance. Yeah, that's basically what you call it, right? Yeah, that whole like evolution bullshit thing, right? Which I'm a believer of. I believe in evolution, everyone. You guys have heard me say that before. Do I think that it's perfect? I think there may be other parts to it. But on the whole,
dodge the bullet there. Okay.
On the whole, I'm a firm believer in evolution. Like I have that belief that, yeah, probably the Big Bang, but I believe something came before the Big Bang. I mean, the whole chicken and the egg thing comes into play. But then again, it's just a belief. It's not a knowing. It's just questions we ask, right? Yeah. Things we wonder. Because how can anyone know? I think the fun part is when you get someone saying, yeah, I know. It's like, how? How do you know? And in that voice too. How?
Yeah. And it's like we could even go down that route. Like I believe that the Big Bang is, the best explanation as to the quote unquote beginnings of the universe, really big quote unquote. But can I prove it? No, I'm not really smart enough to prove it, to be honest. But I can point you to some people who could probably explain it better than me.
So when you sit across from someone like me, honestly, like what's your first assumption? Am I someone who's delusional? Am I a grifter? Am I dishonest or completely genuine? Honestly, what's your assessment?
So what I would say is that I believe that you think that you are doing real things, right? Like with the, because you do like past life regression and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Like I believe that you truly believe that you're doing that, right? I just, from my external critique, I don't see how that could be proven to me. I don't know how. I would be curious, as to, your upbringing into that and like what exactly led you down that route. But, we can go down that a different time if you wanted. If you don't want to get too bogged down in the origin stories type of stuff, I think that you think that you're doing something well, right? And I wouldn't say that your stuff is necessarily causing any direct harm to anybody, but I could definitely see how in some cases how it could be a little bit triggering and possibly cause harm.
Yeah, you're not going to hear many disagreements from me on what you said right now. So one of the things that I loved about Calvin, sorry about speaking about you in the third person, I have a habit of doing this. When I reached out to him about being on the podcast, the first thing he said to me was, just so you know, I don't believe in past life regression. I think you gave a couple reasons for it. I'm just like, yeah, come on.
Just get that shit right out of the way.
But I appreciate it because it's like, none of it was disrespectful. It was just, I don't believe in it. Here's why. But let's talk about it.
And I mean, that's the thing is that like, I'm more than happy to talk to people on opposite sides of the spectrum. Like I've been on plenty of, I have plenty of Christian friends, Christian content creators, and that have been on their shows. They've been on mine when I used to do my show and everything. It's great. I love the cordial discourse part of it. It's my favorite types of conversations is the cordial discourse. Of course, like I do a lot of like inflammatory content with debating people, right? But my favorite conversations are these where like we can just be straight up honest with each other and still walk away, shaking hands in the end. Like that's the best part for me.
Mhm.
So like we might both disagree by the end of the interview, but the bottom line is like I'll have a better understanding as to like where you're coming from, maybe some stuff that I need to do more research on. Because I didn't do a whole lot of research into what exactly past life regression is. I did very light stuff, light research in there just to kind of get a grasp. But I haven't looked into it fully. So like, again, I can't really say that it's not 100% bullshit if I haven't really looked into it that deeply. So, but I mean, as of what I do know, I don't find it convincing.
Yeah, that's okay. It's funny because we have two people right now who are not so immovable in their convictions. Where it's just like, no, it's like, well, you could be right. Yeah, but you could be right. No, you could be right. No, you could. No, you could be right. No, you could be right. It's like everyone listening is like, this is boring right now.
You.
No, you could be more right than I am. Let me have that one.
We're both right. It's true. And it's
that's
not.
where I disagree with you. I don't know if we're both right. So where I think I may surprise you on that one, and this is where I think I rub people the wrong way in my space. Someone may say, actually, it's not a someone, I have heard people say this to me, I was able to verify this past life. What came up in the past life, and this, like, I don't discourage my clients when it comes to this stuff, but anyone coming to me that, it's always about the message to me, and I'll jump into that in a second, but, people have said, this is proof of past lives. Something came up in this regression, how, like an example that I use a lot is, let's say I took you back and regressed you to 1903 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Have you ever been to Lincoln, Nebraska before?
Nope.
Okay, so you've never been to Lincoln, Nebraska before. Probably never done research on Lincoln, Nebraska. Probably don't even know what part of Nebraska Lincoln is in.
Nope, no idea.
But if you were able to have that experience in the regression, see the address on a house, see the street, and really feel it, and then go and do that research and be like, oh my God, 1234 Maple Street in Lincoln, Nebraska was a brick house. It looks exactly as it did, maybe just about 120 years older than when I saw it. So it's more weathered. The front looks different. There's some more modern features outside. And that tree is a lot bigger. But nonetheless, that's proof. That is proof of the existence of past lives. That is proof that that was my past life. Whereas I say to that, no, I don't think that proves that that was your past life. I believe that that was your past life. But to me, that just proves the existence of something that we can't understand at this point. Something that allowed you to tap in to, whether it be something that exists outside of us that we can't see, somebody else's life, or something else you just can't explain, but something, or just a pure coincidence. But I just think it proves the existence of something else. So that's kind of where I fall in it, is even with what I do, I will never say to anyone definitively, that was real. That was real. All I say to someone is, what do you think the lesson is? How does that apply to your life now? And how can this make your life more fulfilling in the here and now? How can you be a better human being in the here and now? What patterns do you see from this? Because look, the other thing that I brought up that it could be is a projection of the subconscious. Something for an individual to understand in a more tangible way, so creating a story, and where there's a parallel to something that is being experienced right now. Because when you're a third person, it's a bit easier to look at it because you're not as, I guess, judging as you would be if it's you, because you can look at it a little more impartially. But nonetheless, I don't think that finding verifiable proof of something you came up with in a regression, or not came up with, but something you experienced in regression, is proof of a past life in and of itself. What you got, Calvin?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the honesty. It's yeah, so it's not necessarily you making any like positive claims on anybody. It's almost like you're using past life regression as kind of a tool as like self-reflection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Kind of you use it to better themselves. So like, what am I right on that? Am I kind of,
yeah.
Okay. Like what, I don't know. What's, I guess, is it ever possible to tell that these people are not necessarily lying, but they're convinced of something that they think was a past life regression, but wasn't? Is there any instances of that?
I can't say for sure.
Or are you able to differentiate?
Like I said, I can't say for sure, but in the decade I've been doing this as of recording, there have only been maybe, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times I can think of where something just seemed off to me.
Okay.
But it felt more as if that person was looking for confirmation bias and that they weren't going to allow the process to unfold because they needed to fully be in control to control the outcome of it. There are indications where I can see if someone's in or not, but also there are questions I can ask where if they're in it, they're going to be able to answer it. If not, it's like they're going to trip.
So do you do like hypnosis? Is
Yeah.
that like a thing that's part of it? Okay. Okay, so you're actually like hypnotizing people?
Yes, but it's not, I'm putting in quotes like the stereotypical hypnosis because it doesn't implant suggestion. It's not like, getting you to lose weight or quit smoking by implanting suggestion. It's more of an interactive guided meditation. I had that term given to me by another practitioner. Her name is Tiffany. I want to give her a shout out. Credit where credit is due. And it's, you're fully aware of everything that's going on, but it's like you're just pushing all the garbage out of the way from your life. I mean, you're not thinking about doing the laundry or paying your bills. It's just a matter of quieting the mind and then whatever information comes through in that moment. But what happens 99.9% of the time is there is a common theme at play. And it's something that you would have to, in my opinion, you'd have to sit down for years ahead of time to contrive what that theme would be and hitting all of the marks so perfectly that it ended up playing out that way. Because oftentimes, if I have someone see more than one life, these lives could be seemingly unrelated, but the theme is present at the end. And sometimes I'm just like, wow, I did not see that coming. I did not see the through line there. And somehow it just does. And I can't explain it.
Okay. Is there like, as far as like the hypnosis and stuff goes, is there like a certification or anything you have to get from that?
Yeah.
Where does one, like, if I wanted to learn to do hypnosis in the manner that you do it, like, how would I do that?
There are many different places. And the irony right now is that I recorded an episode 2 days ago where me and another practitioner, he's not a past life regressionist, but we were talking about how, sorry, this is a bit of a side tangent, how it really is like the Wild West. There is no regulatory body that says this is the way that it needs to get done. Some people can probably take a weekend course and walk away with the certification. Some people may be able to go take a class on Udemy or course. I don't know if they have those classes, but that's the gist of it, is someone can walk away saying I'm a past life regressionist. It's like I could create the program right now and certify you. There is no regulatory body that says this is.
But then the next issue for me that would arise is that people would then profit on trying to be a therapist when they're not.
So I got certified through a place called the Quantum Healing Hypnosis Academy. And then I took another certification through a program called Beyond Quantum Healing. I don't think that they were thorough enough, to be honest with you. Because I think what's helped me as a practitioner is knowing what I know and knowing what I don't know. And knowing that I'm not a therapist, which is something that bothers me about a lot of past life regressionists, is they call themselves past life therapists. I think that's wrong, because
that's messed up.
I think that therapists have earned the right to be called therapists. I think they have done years of schooling to be called therapists. I think it's wrong. Like, look, if someone is a therapist and a past life regressionist, have at it. Call yourself a past life therapist. You've done the work to earn that title of therapist, so do it.
Yeah.
But I think you have a lot of people who don't know what they're doing, because there's also, in a lot of cases, no one monitoring you, no one checking in on your progress, no one looking over your shoulder and making sure that you do it correctly. I was lucky enough to have a mentor, so I had someone who could walk me through it. But other than that, it's the Wild West, and which is something that I think is wrong with the space that I'm in. And it's tough because I don't think that a lot of practitioners want a body that would regulate it. I think it would be so beneficial. I think you could weed out a lot of what's negative. So it's like, you brought up how these weren't the words that you used, but almost there could be negative implications from past life regression. And I agree. I completely agree with you. And I think a lot of that also comes down to just people and their own wounding and what they place importance on. Whereas, I was saying, and look, I don't know if I'm doing this right or wrong in terms of my outlook. I believe that I'm doing what's right, in saying it's like, hey, let's not get hung up on the life as much as the lesson. Whereas there are other practitioners who may say, yes, you being Cleopatra is the most important part of this. Forget what you did, forget whatever it may have been. That's not what's important. You being Cleopatra is the most important thing. And that's where I think it just comes down to acting in a responsible way. And, it's one of the things that I wonder all the time. Have I done anything that has harmed anyone in any way, shape, or form? I hope not. I'd still like to think I'm getting better and better with time. But to fully answer your question, it's too easy. But I think also what set me apart was knowing this didn't feel right how easy this was. I need to know I'm not an expert. Like walking into it's like, I may have the certification, but that doesn't make me an expert. I mean, I think it has taken me.
I mean, my main concern would be somebody choosing to get past life regression over just getting a therapist or because I mean,
I agree.
You charge for your services, right? I mean, you charge money. So it's like, are your services cheaper than a therapist? If they are, then they'll probably choose you instead of their therapist. Or if they're more than your therapist, they might choose you instead still because you're charging more than my therapist is. So this guy must really know what he's talking about, So it's like my concern would be people disregarding the heavily, with the hundreds of years of research and evidence-based scientific findings for someone who got a certification online.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. And to my detriment, that's one of the questions I ask people. There are oftentimes I have consultations beforehand. And I'll even say, if you tried therapy, I think that may be your first step. Let's cross this bridge. Like, if you want to do this, we'll do this. But I think it'd be beneficial for you to sit down with someone once a week and talk about this issue you're having in your marriage. Or I don't think you need to necessarily find the origins of it yet. Like, yes, if you go through all those steps, if you go through marriage counseling and there's still something missing, come on. Okay. At that point, it's like people also, and this is where it's like, I am not a doctor. I need to make that very clear, but people use this to answer those questions sometimes. But my first question is, have you seen a doctor? If you haven't, go see a doctor first and then make your choice after that. But see a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I'm not. So go see a doctor. Now, where I think it becomes irresponsible is if a practitioner doesn't ask that question. If they say, well, okay, yeah, sure. You're having this horrible pain in your stomach and you haven't gone to check it out. Yeah, let's take care of it right now. Because
Cleopatra says it's fine.
Cleopatra says it's fine. And here's why. It's because I do believe in the placebo effect. But in that circumstance, I also believe in the possibility of the placebo effect wearing off. So what happens if you are feeling relief from this thing you haven't gone and checked out? It's just, it was there. It was horrible. It was debilitating. I went and called my past life regressionist and now it's gone. But what if it comes back at that point because you haven't actually found at least a medical diagnosis for it? And look, I know that there are many flaws with the medical system. And there are many problems with it. But at the very least, I mean, especially when it comes to something like a blood test, can you misdiagnose from it? Yes, sure. But most times from something like that, you're going to get an accurate reading that could point out like, oh, you do have this disease or you do have this present in your blood. Whereas I can't tell you that, and nor would I.
Right.
So I think, again, it comes down to the responsibility of the practitioner knowing that they're not a doctor. Now, still, if someone has gone through all of that, if someone comes to me and says, I've had back pain for a decade, I've had so many surgeries and none of them work. Okay, let's do it. Let's see if we can get you some relief. Let's see if we can identify what that core root issue could be. And this is also where what's that?
No, my question would be like, so people come to you with like physical like back pain and you and I guess like how does that like work with past life regression if like someone comes to you and says, I broke my back 10 years ago and it's still hurting. I need a past life regression. Like what does,
and they've gone through all the steps,
them possibly seeing like a past life, like what does that do for their back? How does that fix
so
their
first
back?
thing that comes into question, is it truly biological or something imprinted? Let's just call it a soul right now. Like if there is a consciousness that exists outside of the body, and I'm going to use that word if. I believe there is, but at this point in time, in June of 2026, we don't have a device to measure a soul. Calvin, if I'm wrong, please correct me on that one, but there's no device that we're aware of that can measure a soul right now, right?
No, because souls don't exist, but that's a different tangent.
Because there's no evidence of it, right? I'm getting you.
Sorry, I got to do my atheist thing real quick.
Have that, man. That's good because still you can't prove it. So that's what I mean.
But no. To answer your question, no, there's not a thing to measure a soul. No.
But let's just say that there is. This is something I did with, again, I bring up Flat Earth Dave on the podcast every so often, and he was going off about Antarctica because Calvin also had Flat Earth Dave on his show.
Yeah, what a character.
He kept saying, this is proof, they won't let you in Antarctica. I said, okay, for a second, let's assume that there is a soul. And that soul jumps into that little human body, whether it be at the moment of conception or at 4 months or at 8 months or at the first breath. That's a whole other episode we can get into. I can bring a fundamentalist on for that one. But nonetheless, at some point, we'll just say, there is a soul that imprints onto that body. And it's bringing more with it than just like a DNA or a biological memory. And there's something, we'll just say, on an unseen level that comes in. And it's a memory that we can't measure. A memory that may not have been created in the brain, if that's where a memory truly is located. Do I believe that memories are a part of the brain? Yeah, I do. But I also believe that there could be an additional component to it that we just haven't discovered yet. But for right now, that's all we know. It's like we are limited by what we can measure. Because I'm also a firm believer in science. Straight up, I say it. Believer in science. But with that memory, let's just say it was something that happened in a past life where that person was mortally wounded or just wounded in some way, and something happened with the back. There's a memory that's carried over. I can't explain the mechanisms of it because I don't know and I don't understand. But if someone experiences that past life regression and goes back and sees it or relives it, there's something that happens just by that simple spark of awareness where it can go poof, or it could be placebo. Mm-hmm. It could be, or it's something that we can't explain. I mean, that's how it can be beneficial. But again, I'm going to say to anyone listening right now, I'm not a doctor. Go get it checked first. Because someone could be saying, well, what could be so bad other than just back pain? I don't know. You could have a tumor on your spine, and you might want to find that out if that's the case. Go get it checked out first. Please, for the love of God. I believe in God. Sorry, Calvin. But it's just an expression right there. Boom, shit. For the love of God, go get it checked out first. And I know a lot of people are against the medical system, but what's the harm in getting a diagnosis? You don't have to get treatment in that moment if you don't want to. You still have the autonomy, but at the very least, make sure it's not something more severe, like a tumor on your back or on your spine.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. All right.
Cool. I was expecting well, this and well that, like, doing your little monkey
right.
dance.
Yeah. Right on.
Okay, cool. That's it for that one.
I don't know what it was. Where else do we go from here? I mean, I mean, yeah, I guess as far as that goes, I guess I'm still, it's a lot of like, if maybe can't explain this, something like, it's a lot of like wishy-washy, and, I mean, it doesn't, like, if I go to my doctor, right? Like my doctor would, if like right now I'm actually getting a lot of tests done for something that's going on that I don't have a whole lot of explanations for. I'm supposed to schedule some other tests and everything.
Well,
and it's like,
come to me after and once you've gotten everything, if you need some help.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
I'm just not getting how, I guess like no doctor is going to refer you to a past life regressionist, just like no doctor is going to refer you to a chiropractor, right? Because chiropractic is a false medicine as well. So it's because it's not evidence based. Like chiropractic, for example, is based off of a guy who believed he could speak to ghosts, and the ghost told him that he should be cracking people's backs to save lives. And that's literally the origins of chiropractic is a guy spoke to a ghost and he told him to start cracking people's backs. So it's, chiropractic is cuckoo. Don't get your back cracked by it. As someone who went to chiropractor almost every day for 10 years and I'm still fucked up, don't go. It's false medicine. No, that's why doctors won't refer you there, because it's not real medicine. It's homeopathy. And that's kind of what I'm getting is from like almost like past life regressionism is like chiropractic or tarot card reading. I've gotten tarot card readings and like palm readings and like this other like supernatural stuff that like we're just kind of almost God of the Gapsing. Like we can't really explain it, so we're plugging in past life regression here and there instead of just saying that we don't know, I guess, and just leaving it at that. And because we don't have a method to measure it, why would we entertain it? Because science doesn't entertain things that we can't measure.
Yeah, well, I'm not factoring science into the equation.
Yeah.
But I still would say go to a doctor first. Yeah,
right. 100%. Still go see the doctor.
And also, look, I believe in chiropractic. Would that be the technical or the chiropractic practice?
Chiropractics. I don't know. However you want to say it is what I'll take.
Probably a lot of bad doctors in that profession, just like in every profession, I think.
There's a reason. I mean, they have a death toll. People do die at the chiropractor. It's a thing.
I mean, people die in doctors' offices too.
Yeah, but I mean, the doctor isn't snapping their neck in 360 degrees.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, with regards to, the correlation there with past life regression, but at the same time, I'm also not cracking backs and cracking necks, and it's non-invasive. And again, does it have the potential to be detrimental to someone if not handled with care? Yes. I do believe that if it's not handled correctly, meaning someone, still saying, oh yeah, don't worry about the death that you experienced or that. It's who were you? That's what's important. That's what you need to become obsessed with right now. That's what you need. Just forget about your kids. Forget about your job. Just go do the research on that person and get obsessed with it. That could be detrimental.
Right. Definitely.
But I think at a certain point, once you've eliminated every other possibility, why not take a chance with something else? So it's like, oftentimes our default to the Sherlock Holmes quote. I know it's a work of fiction, but nonetheless, once you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. So in that circumstance with the back, what if that person has gone to many different surgeons? And at a certain point, they're just like, we don't know. These surgeries should have worked. We don't know why the half a dozen surgeries you've done in the last 10 years haven't worked. Well, at that point, if they can't come up with an explanation for it, maybe it's a past life. Maybe it's the thing that seems so implausible, but every other possibility has been eliminated.
I'm still not getting to how it helps with injuries, I guess. Like, because coming, like if, like I said earlier, I mean, if someone like breaks their back or something, I'm not seeing the correlation as to how accessing their previous life, if they were like, Alexander the Great or something, like how accessing that helps them physically get better. I mean, like I get that, like it almost can act as like a placebo and almost like mask the pain because they're so enthralled with this experience. But I don't know if it's necessarily helping them, and that's why.
What if it's the one possibility you're not thinking of right now?
Well, I mean, I don't think it would be. So the Sherlock Holmes bit. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the quote. I don't think that's a good thing to live by. Is that no matter what remains, no matter how improbable must be the case. Yeesh. I don't know if I would agree with that. That's like really harsh certainty for my liking. I mean, if the only thing that remains is in searching for like who created this computer mouse, all else fails and the only suggestion for whatever reason is I have evidence that a pink unicorn named Jeffrey created this mouse, then that must be the case.
Well, no, you'd be full of shit at that point because you could find the person who designed the mouse.
It's I've tried everything else, and that's the only thing that's left.
No, you didn't, because if you really wanted to find who designed that mouse,
no, but what if I told you I did?
Well, then you'd be full of shit.
What if I truly believed that I did? And that's the thing, is that, like, how can we be sure that, you know, these people have tried everything? I mean, how can it be that the only thing that's left is them finding out that their past life is Alexander the Great?
Right, because look,
it's going to make their back.
What if they went to one more doctor and it was that doctor who had the answer, right? I think that's what you're saying right now. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I mean, the doctor's covered by insurance usually. I don't think you're covered by insurance.
Yeah, no one needs to put their house up for a second mortgage to work with me, though.
So,
you know,
it comes down to like a financial thing too. It's, you know, as you mentioned grifter earlier, you know, and I wouldn't use, that's kind of a harsh term, so I wouldn't necessarily call you a grifter
very
affordable.
Anything,
but yeah, you know, it's, I feel like, you know, there's still the money incentive behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I could be charging a lot more. It's something I still struggle with, but that's another question or another conversation. To answer your question, it's that third layer or that fifth layer, whatever it is. It's that thing that's unseen. That, like I said, I think placebo could be part of the equation, or it could be that thing we can't measure, which is something in a space that we can't see, something that exists outside of space and time as we know it. I mean, do you believe in multiple dimensions?
I mean, I believe in, like, you know, first, second, third, fourth dimension, you know, whether there's like, if you mean dimensions as like, I don't know, like other realities and other like like kind of other alternate realities.
Not in that respect.
I don't necessarily see a reason to believe that.
No, I mean, in this respect, it would be something occupying the same space that we just can't sense or see.
No, not necessarily. Like, I mean, would accessing these past lives, would that kind of, I mean, do you like believe in like an afterlife? Do you think that like you're accessing them through like some sort of afterlife, or is that like a collective consciousness kind of thing?
I would go more with collective consciousness. I mean, I do believe in an afterlife. And look, I'm not even going to begin to, you know, try to map out what the other side would look like. Be like, this is the way that it is. This is, I mean, I do believe in something we can't measure. I mean, even with the brain in the vat that you were talking about,
mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the closest comparison that we have. I mean, but it's also like, if you go back 100 years and you were trying to explain artificial intelligence to someone back then, they'd have a very difficult time grasping it.
Yeah.
At the very least, well, 100 years ago, they wouldn't even really be able to comprehend an iPhone or anything like that because the screen was just around the corner.
Yeah, right. Yeah, literally, we were just coming out with the car.
Right, but if you go back 100 years before that, there's no way that anyone could comprehend a computer. Yeah. So like, we're limited by our understanding, especially it's like, you know, when people call this a virtual reality, we're limited by our vocabulary and our terminology and our understanding of the world around us at that time. Because if they had the terminology for that a couple hundred years ago, or even 2,000 years ago, the Bible may have looked vastly different. Those stories may have been told in a different way, because maybe that was the only way they knew how to articulate them at the time, was like, oh, this whale came and swallowed this man named Jonah. Do I believe that story could have happened? Yeah, I mean, there are many parts of it that seem very implausible to me. Like, well, wouldn't the guy die in the belly of the whale? And I'm thinking with the human brain there. Then again, I do believe in God, and I don't know, you know, what God does, if there's a God, but maybe God could prohibit him from dying and being swallowed up by the juices of the belly of the whale. So I think it translated to big fish at the time, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. But what can't we measure? So that's where I think it also comes into play, because if you go to the brain in the vat, that's what we can understand right now. And I think a lot of that is the Matrix that helped us understand it in that way, like the movie The Matrix. Yeah, I think that honestly, was our gateway into it.
Man, I need to watch that again. It's been a long time.
But it's that idea, like, right, being plugged into something. I mean, you were talking about it. Maybe they're aliens tinkering with it, or just some, maybe they're not aliens, but they're beings.
Yeah, there's something.
But again, it's like you bring up aliens because maybe that's all we have the terminology for to identify whatever that thing is right now. But it could be something that's completely off of our radar until it's on our radar, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's why I think as humans, we are limited by the scope of our understanding at the time. You ever heard of Ray Kurzweil before?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I can't remember exactly what it was that he did. I mean, some kind of inventor. I think he's a higher up at Google now. But way back in the day, I saw a documentary with him, and he talked about, I think it was things that he invented. And the question became like, how were you able to invent these things that were so transformational? And he said, because I don't imagine, I don't imagine them with what we have at our disposal now. I imagine what's going to be available tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I design based off of that, or I make my decision based off of that. So I can't remember if he was a designer or made decisions off of, but it's like understanding pattern recognition. So it's being ahead of the curve, but I can't fully explain it to you right now because I just don't think we have the ability where we are right now as humans to even put words in that. So what I'm just saying, it's like, look, there may be something that goes beyond the biological component. It could be in a space that we can't see or observe and measure. 20 years from now, I may be able to be like, you know. And you'd be like, okay, yeah, I gotcha. That makes total sense to me now. Now that we've discovered this other realm, now that science has created this device to be able to measure this. But what you will never hear me say, I know that that's why it is. Because I don't. I am operating from a place of belief. I don't know. And I think that the most dangerous thing that we can do as humans is operate from a place of certainty when there's no possible way that we can operate from that place of certainty. Like for everything you're saying, it's so reasonable to me. You're like, yeah, sure. Could be, but there's no evidence of it. Whereas I think I fall on the side of, I don't know if there needs to be evidence at this point, as long as I'm not treating the lack of evidence as evidence itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that place we find ourselves in is the healthiest place. And I'm sorry to say, just going to say it, everyone. I think if society operated more the way that you and I see the world, at least in that respect, I'm very flawed in many others. But I think if we came from a place of more uncertainty and looking for the discovery of that which we can't prove right now, I think a lot of our problems may disappear.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Like I don't operate in a sense of certainty for anything. Nope. Anything, nothing, you know, like I'm not 100% certain there is or isn't a God. I'm not 100% certain I'm going to live to tomorrow. I'm not 100% certain that my dog likes me. I'm not 100% certain. You know, there's always that. I always have that like little sliver of doubt. Maybe my dog hates my guts and is going to bite my face off when she gets pissed off at me the next time. Who knows, you know?
Could happen.
What it could happen. I've actually seen it happen. You know, it's from other people's dogs, not mine. She's a good girl as far as I know. But, you know, I don't operate from certainty. I'm always open to changing my mind, you know, given the good reason and evidence. That's why I do the call-in shows that I do. I don't do them to where like people can call in just so I can embarrass them or anything. I mean, I do it for educational purposes. Like but how I like run my live call-in shows is, you know, I usually am deconstructing the Bible. You know, I've read the Bible a lot. I've studied it for years. I'm very familiar with it. So I tell Christians what's in their Bible, and I want to see like, okay, can you counter this? What is your counter to this? And if they have a good argument, I accept the good argument. And, you know, that's, I'm just always open to it. I'm open to changing my mind. As soon as you close yourself off, that's when, you know, you become the bad guy. Like even Christians, I think, should be more open to possibly changing their mind. Cause I feel like, you know, atheists and other non-believers or skeptics are, more open to changing their mind than people who are like really devout in their religious belief that, you know, in some cases they're not even really fully able to explain.
Is there anything you do believe in the Bible?
Yeah, I mean, there's people, places, things that are real. You know, like there's real countries. There's real. There's even some real events. You know, real. You know, genocides and slaughterings and wars that are documented and did actually happen. So I would never say that the Bible is 100% false. I never would say it because it's just not true. There's real people, places, and things. I just don't think that the magic stuff happened.
How come?
Because as far as the reality that I am aware of, like you said earlier, we don't have a way to measure magic, right? When we don't have an explanation for something, we say it's supernatural. But I don't believe the supernatural can exist if it's able to be demonstrated. it's natural. It's a natural phenomena. It can't be supernatural. So yeah, from my understanding of reality, people don't walk on water. Donkeys don't speak Hebrew. People don't, I don't know, burst into flames on the spot. People don't get their spirits casted into pigs and hurtle off a cliff. People don't resurrect from the dead. That's just not a thing that happens. It's just not. It's not. And I mean, if people want to show me an instance where,
well, I mean,
happened,
for that,
great,
aren't there documented cases of spontaneous combustion though, even in our modern world?
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm fully convinced by those. I don't know how I really feel about those. I don't know if we can fully, because like no one's ever just spontaneously combusted in front of someone else. It's always been like someone's been found who, like, their body is like combusted or whatever. It's always the after effect. It's never like me just bursting into flames right here, right now on camera or anything. Never been documented. There's just no way to test for the supernatural. The things that the Bible says that I said are unfalsifiable claims. We have no way to demonstrate that those things did or didn't happen, but based on the reality that I'm aware of, I'm warranted in saying they didn't happen until you can prove it.
I guess the other part is just a matter of having faith.
Yeah, totally. I hate that, honestly. Like people be like, faith is gullibility to me. Faith is admitting that you're gullible. It's admitting that you're almost, I hate to be so harsh about it, but you're admitting that you're stupid. I'm sorry, but you guys aren't stupid. Like if someone asks you for the evidence of something, like if I say, can you provide evidence for me that you had a sandwich for breakfast, like you said, right? Or for lunch, you had a sandwich for lunch. Yeah, sure. I can provide the evidence for that. I can go get you the Ziploc baggie it came in. Here's a little piece of the crust from earlier. I still got some residue on my teeth. Here's some of the lettuce. You provide the evidence for it. Or if I approach you and say, do you have evidence that you ate a sandwich this morning? And you say, no, you just got to take it on faith. Why would I believe you? Why would I believe you if you're not going to show me anything to warrant? And that's not even an extraordinary claim. Imagine someone coming up and saying, I saw a guy resurrect from the dead after being dead for 3 days and then fly up into heaven. I can't prove it to you. You just got to trust me, bro. No, that's not something that happens in reality here. Like, why would I believe that?
Do you think I'm stupid?
I don't think you're stupid. I think that you're actually a very well-spoken guy.
Well, you.
I just think that you're convinced of falsities, just like a lot of us are. I think even if we boiled it down, I'm sure I'm convinced of some stuff that it's probably not true. If we broke it down,
pretty hard pressed to find that for you.
But yeah, I'd be interested to find out too. But I'm sure it's in there. I used to be a conspiracy theorist, so I mean, I there's some shit that's deep down in there that I sometimes dig up later. So yeah, I think that everyone probably believes in something they can't fully demonstrate as true, or they're convinced of something that maybe it isn't necessarily true, but again, they can't prove it to be true. But I wouldn't call you stupid by any means.
I appreciate that. Look, for me personally, I will say it. I want to believe in a higher power. I want to believe in God. I want to believe that there's something greater than us, something benevolent. I'm not a believer in a fiery hell, or that there's a judgment process that comes up where there's one person sitting and saying, you're going to heaven, you're going to hell. I do believe in a judgment process, just looks much different. Again, none of that I can verify. And I can't sit here right now and tell you that I don't want to believe it, or I want to believe it. Hold on, how do I word this?
I guess what I would say is, like, what is more important to you? Believing in something because it makes you feel good or because you want to? Or is it more important to believe in where the evidence takes you and where something is evidence-based? Is it better for you to believe in something just because it makes you feel good, or to believe in something else because it's true?
I think that it doesn't have to be that black and white, because me wanting to believe, I don't see how that causes harm to me or anyone else, because I'm not pushing that on anyone. It's not like, oh, you need to believe in God in order to, live a more fulfilling life, or to heal. Like you need to pray to God to do I think prayer works? Mm-hmm. I do believe in the power of prayer. I do. I don't really do it, but it's one of those things I'm like, you know what? I think it could be a possibility. I believe that there is energy that we can't see. Again, I can't measure it. It's just a feeling. Maybe it's just me wanting to live in a fairy tale, like, oh, I believe in this force that we can't see. And it makes me feel all fuzzy inside. And I don't know why my thoughts are like that. And it's British. It's always a British voice inside my head. But I'm not above saying I want to believe because it makes me feel better. But again, I don't think it becomes detrimental because I don't think I'm hurting anyone, but I do believe it becomes detrimental when you are forcing that belief on someone and saying they must live a certain way or else they're going to hell, or you need to believe what I believe or else I'm going to kill you, or you're going to live an unfulfilling life. Like for you, I personally think it's a bit chaotic to be in that space. I mean, this is going to be almost like a paradox to be in that space of such uncertainty, of no surrender whatsoever, but that's just my opinion. It may work for you. And what I say to that is more power to you, Calvin. Like, you do you. I don't think you're hurting anyone. I don't think you're out there telling anyone who is a fundamentalist, you must believe what I believe. I think you just ask them questions.
I more so want them to double down on it. Okay, you say you're a Christian. You like slavery? Why? Why or why not? Why are you Christian if Christianity wants you to own slaves? I don't like that, so I'm not part of it. It's pretty easy. Are you going to double down on that? That's pretty much my whole presence. Is like, oh, okay, you say you're Christian, so you like this. Oh, you don't like that. So
you're asking questions.
So you disagree with Jesus then.
Right, but that's the thing is, and that gives that person an opportunity to say, look, I may not agree with every part of Christianity. I don't know about the slavery part, but nonetheless.
And then boom, you're in the fiery furnace.
Right, no. but they have that opportunity to make that choice for themselves. You're not saying to them, you're going to my atheist hell if you don't believe what I believe. And when I say my atheist hell, I mean my toilet. Or that's where I find myself with belief in God or having faith. And it may be a fool's errand. I don't know. And I'm going to say it. I love bringing up that episode of Flat Earth Dave. I have some reason why I'm just so in love with that off the wall episode. But I remember saying to him in it, because, as he kept trying to get me to believe that the earth was flat and going as far to say, I'm never going to be free if I don't believe the earth is flat. Again, trying to get me to believe what he believes, or else, my soul is going to perish or be reincarnated by whoever, that evil entity that is controlling us in this loop of slavery incarnation.
Right.
I said, hey, you know what? In my cosmology, when I die and leave the body, I'm going to go up and I'm going to look back. I'll be like, oh, what do you know? He was right. It is flat. It could be. Or I could be in yours, where I wake up and I'm like, oh, get these wires out of my brain, or get me out of this vat. Like, oh, you little boogers. You were the ETs that he was talking about. No. Exactly. Get me out of here. Or it could be nothing. I don't know. And so that's what I mean, is it could be a fool's errand, this pursuit of faith. I believe that that's the beauty of this place. And again, in my cosmology, I do believe in a God who doesn't need everyone to believe in that essence or that being. And that it's like, oh no, you do you. You don't need to believe in me. But, in some places they're like, no, you need to believe in this God. But then again, was that the word of God? Did God say you need to believe in me? Or was that the word of man?
Yeah. Boom. Mic drop.
You're going to go to your dog after this. You'll be like, I just talked to this fucking idiot who believes in this past life shit.
I gotta tell my wife, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy was a fucking kook. No.
Like, I've dealt with some kooks in my day. This guy was on another fucking level.
Oh, man. No, dude, you're cool. You're cool. I like you. I like this. This is fun. This is a cool conversation.
Are you ready for the last part of our episode? And also, I like you too.
Yeah.
Love to have you back again. This was great.
Yeah, anytime.
So in this little baggie right here, I have 4 periods of time. This is called the Saturn game. So I'm going to go in and you're going to see I don't rig the game. You see, I like to maintain the integrity of the game. So you see, I'm pulling my hand out, not picking anyone in particular, and I'm looking away. Okay. You can verify this, right? I'm not looking.
Yep.
To everyone who can't see this, right? And on the third time, because, rule of 3, I'm pulling one of these out. So Calvin, how have you grown in the last day?
How have I grown in the last day? Oh boy. How have I grown in the last day? Well, I mean, you know, I like to do my research per se. So usually in my spare time, I'll spend my time either researching a certain topic or reading up on something. Like right now, I'm reading a book. It's called Jesus Interrupted. It's about, the quotes of Jesus throughout the Bible, and whether they were actually said by him and the reasons why they were or weren't. By Bart Ehrman, super good author and Bible scholar. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've grown, just my knowledge, I guess you could say, my knowledge based on like the historicity of the words of Jesus in the Bible. I've grown, I guess you could say, I'm a content creator. I post on all social media platforms. So, I'm always growing as far as followers go, with the, I have some pretty popular videos out there right now. Just, I guess grown in general is, I've kind of opened my mind a little, every day opening my mind a little bit more to new ideas, new arguments. And, even the arguments that I did today on my live stream before I hopped on here, even learning some things on the live stream, that I didn't know yesterday. So
That's a lot of learning in one day. It's a lot of growth.
Yeah. I'd be doing shit, man.
You can cover a lot in 24 hours. So last thing I wanted to bring up, because I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it. I don't know why I need to say that out loud. I'm still working on my ego and vanity. I don't know if that's part of the equation. I'm still growing too. I have a lot of growing to do. So you brought up, and I'm going off of what you say right now because I don't know, the answer to this. But you mentioned that the founder of the chiropractic practice said that ghosts told him about this.
Yes.
Right. So the first thing I would say is, how do you know it was ghosts? Not you. That's what I would ask him. How do you know it was ghosts that said that to you?
I don't know that it's ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts. Ghosts aren't real. So I don't think that he spoke to any ghosts. I think that he probably was just a guy that had a crazy idea and he thinks that he spoke to a ghost, or maybe he just straight up made up the story. I don't think he actually spoke to any ghosts though, because ghosts don't exist.
Yeah, maybe it was something else he spoke to. That's just what I mean. It's like, how do you know it was a ghost? How do you know it just was in your own inner dialogue?
I know, because we can't measure ghosts. We besides blurry photographs and anecdotal accounts. So.
I can't think of anything quick and witty to say right now. Anyways, Calvin, thank you so much for coming on. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This was a blast. It was a good little conversation. I learned a little bit about you, a little bit about past life regression. I got to do a little bit more research on some stuff, but I appreciate you for, having me on.
My pleasure.
Yeah, everyone can find me on pretty much all social media platforms. I'm primarily on TikTok. It's at Unquestionable Calvin everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube. Even Snapchat. I don't even own Snapchat, but I have one. So I mean, hey, you can go follow me everywhere. It's Unquestionable Calvin everywhere. And I post daily on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I post every single day, multiple times a day. And I do weekly live streams, either doing debate live streams, Q&As. I play video games. I'll stream on Twitch. So you can play video games with me and, ask me some questions about stuff. Or I'll take this big, huge sign that's behind me that's out of camera shot, says Ask an Atheist. And I'll go to my local busiest street corner and stand there and let Christians walk by and ask me questions. And I live stream it the whole time.
Anything other than Christians?
Oh yeah. I get people, I get Muslims that have stopped by, Hindus, even atheists. I get plenty of atheists. I get people who believe in, energy is God, like the kind of woo-woo people. So there's a lot of like crystal and rock shops in my local area. So, there's a lot of like those types of people.
All our listeners.
Yeah. So all kinds of shapes and sizes of people, not just Christians, specifically when I'm out.
No Jews?
Doing Ask an Atheist stuff.
You left Jews out. No Jews? The Jews leave you alone?
I don't know. I think there's been like one time that I've even spoken to a Jew, like in debate format, like on a call-in show. Other than that, no, I don't think I've ever had like a Jewish person, stop and ask me any questions. Maybe culturally Jewish, but no one who's practicing.
Well, you can add a Jew to your list.
Heck yeah.
Okay, well, on that note, thanks for being here, Calvin.
Appreciate it.
Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.